All right, everyone, welcome. Today, I am going to talk about the basic information you need to know about doing 1099s, whether it's the miscellaneous or the NEC. All right. I'm just getting my screen shared here. So if you go to the IRS, I'll just go back to the beginning, irs.gov. And then in the search bar, type in 1099, and it will bring you to a page that looks like this. And this is where you can learn about the 1099 miscellaneous form. You can see a copy of the PDF. You can get a copy of the instructions. So I am just going to open or download the instructions, and I'm going to open them as a PDF. Make it a little bit bigger so we can see it. Oh, and this is the 2020 instructions. That isn't what we want. We want, and I think I just realized I shared my screen the wrong way, so you couldn't see the PDF that popped up. Let me share my screen this way. All right, so I'm going to go to forms and instructions, and hopefully this will have the instructions for the 2021. And it doesn't look like that is it. Believe it or not, I did rehearse this before I went live. Yeah, so this is the newest one that was just revised. Anyway, I'm just going to go ahead because the basics for the 1099 miscellaneous and NEC don't change from year to year, generally speaking. So one of the biggest changes that is going to happen beginning this tax year, 2022, is that 1099K threshold has been reduced to $600, down from $20,000. And believe it or not, that does affect the 1099 miscellaneous and NEC, because now we need to be a lot more diligent about making sure that we don't put payments that were made with a credit card or a debit card or through any merchant processor onto our 1099 miscellaneous or NEC, because the recipient is a lot more likely to receive duplicate 1099s for the same income. We'll do another conversation later on the 1099K. All right. So I am just going to go right into the instructions. And today we are going to talk about rents for box 1. I'm just going to skip ahead to that part. So enter amounts of $600 or more for all types of rents, such as any of the following: real estate rentals paid for office space. However, you do not have to report these payments on a Form 1099 miscellaneous if you paid them to a real estate agent or property manager, but the real estate agent or property manager must use a Form 1099 miscellaneous to report the rent paid over to the property owner. And it's got some regulations that you can look up. So basically what that means is if you paid rent to somebody whose sole business is collecting rents on behalf of other people, you do not need to send them a 1099. However, a property management company does need to send a 1099 to the property owner. So an example is I rent my office space or my secondary location office space in Mankato from somebody who owns the building. I need to send them a 1099 because their primary business is not property management. If I rented office space from somebody who had the words property manager or management company or something like that, where their sole business is managing other people's rentals, then I would not need to send them a 1099. So definitely, if you still have questions on this, put notes in the comments and I will answer them as the month of January goes on. Machine rentals. For example, renting a bulldozer to level your parking lot. If the machine rental is part of a contract that includes both the use of the machine and the operator, prorate the rental between the rent of the machine and report that in box 1 of the 1099 miscellaneous. And you report the operator's charge on the 1099 NEC in box 1. Most of the time when you're paying somebody to operate something or to perform a service and the material is included, you don't separate that. However, with machine rentals, we separate it between the machine rental and we put that on the 1099 miscellaneous in box 1, and we put the operator's charge or the services performed on the 1099 NEC in box 1. Pasture rentals, for example, farmers paying for the use of grazing land or cropland, is also included in that. Several of my clients are in property development, so they'll buy these patches of land and then they'll rent it to farmers until they start developing that property. And that goes on the 1099 NEC in box 1 under rent. Public housing agencies must report in box 1 rental assistance payments made to owners of housing projects. So this year, or this past year with the pandemic, there's been a lot more people receiving rent subsidies for their apartments or houses that they rent. Public housing agencies are going to send the landlords of those rental properties a 1099 miscellaneous for rent in box 1, and that is perfectly normal. They even do that if it is to a property management company. So just if your clients have properties that they rent out, make sure that they know that they're supposed to be watching for a 1099 miscellaneous from the public housing agency. Coin operated amusements. If an arrangement between the owner of a coin operated amusement and the owner of a business establishment where the amusements are placed is a lease of the amusements or the amusement space, the owner of the amusements or the owner of the space, whoever makes the payments must report the lease payments in box 1 of Form 1099 miscellaneous if the payments total at least $600. However, if the arrangement is a joint venture, the joint venture must also file a Form 1065, which is a partnership return, and provide each partner with the information necessary to report the partner's share of the taxable income. Coin-operated amusements include video games, pinball machines, jukeboxes, pool tables, slot machines, and other machines and gaming devices operated by coins or tokens inserted in the machine by individual users. So basically, if there is a coin operated machine, whether it is whatever it is, in your client's place of business that is not owned by them, but your client collects the money, they need to send a 1099 to the person who owns the machine, or vice versa. It basically is whoever collects the money and deposits the money needs to send a 1099 to the person who owns the money. All right. So that is all for today on this episode of Shannon Reads 1099 Instructions. So if you have any questions about box 1, please put them in the comments below, and I will